Hello everyone, this is Officer Pitcher with the Goodyear Police Department. I am the lead breacher for the Special Assignments Unit. Today we're going to be talking about manual breaching tools and how to use them. Breaching. We're talking about breaching. We're breaking down doors and getting into houses today. You ready? Let's go. So in today's training, we're going to cover multiple topics. We're going to cover different types of doors that you may encounter out on the road. We're also going to cover different tools. The first tool we'll cover is going to be the sledgehammer. After that, we will cover the battering ram. Next, we will cover the Halligan tool, and finally, we will cover the bolt cutters. After that, we'll talk about some safety considerations when breaching. So I'm joined by Officer Oman here to help me demonstrate. The first tool we're going to be talking about is the ram. The nomenclature of the ram is you have your rear handle in the back, your front handle in the front, you have your ram body right here, you have the actual strike face, which is where you want to make the impact at. The technique for using the ram is you're going to approach the door or the target that you're going to strike, and you want to stand perpendicular to it. You want to have your feet set about shoulder width apart on proper footing, and it's like any proper athletic stance, like you're swinging a baseball bat or a golf club. You're going to keep your arms slightly bent. You're going to rock your body back and driving through with your hips in one quick motion. You're going to deliver as much energy into the door near the door handle or lock set as you possibly can. Once you are done with that, you're going to roll away from the door. That way anyone else that's there can come in and help cover you and see inside the door. Could you give us a demonstration, Officer Roman? The next tool we're going to be talking about is the sledgehammer. The sledgehammer, similar to the ram, is an impact tool. It's a very simple piece of gear to operate. It has three main parts. You have the handle, the neck, and the strike faces up here. When operating the ram, you want to use it just like you're swinging a baseball or a golf club, very similar to the ram, where you're going to load it away and deliver the force and strike directly into the target that you are trying to breach. Usually a rule of thumb with the sledgehammer is when your hands are lower on the handle, you can deliver more power but less accuracy. When your hands are higher on the handle, you deliver less power but you do have more accuracy. Officer Rahman, would you? So he's going to approach the door, stand perpendicular to it. He's going to, just like the ram, twist his hips away, and when he delivers that strike, he makes sure the strike face solidly impacts the door or the target area, preferably near the lock set or the doorknob, driving the door inward. Officer Rahman, would you give us a demonstration? Okay, so the next tool we're going to be talking about is the Halligan. This is probably the most versatile tool you will have in your breaching arsenal. The Halligan has several major components. It has your forks down here, it has the shaft of the Halligan, it has a pick, and a adze or a duckbill. You also have three different flat striking heads on the top as well. The primary focus of the Halligan is a prying tool. It is used to pry things away from one another like a door from a door frame. The two main components of the Halligan for prying are the adze and the fork. When utilizing the adze, you're going to set it in between the door and the door frame like Officer Rahman's going to demonstrate, and use that to pry outward. You can also use the fork in the similar manner and use that to pry outward as well. The next piece of the Halligan we'll talk about is the forks. Utilizing the forks to breach an object is very similar to the adze. What Officer Rahman here is going to do is he's going to place the forks in the gap in between the door and the door frame. Would you do so, please? Similar to the adze, sometimes you cannot get in there enough to actually force the door, so he needs his handy-dandy assistant breacher to help set it with a sledgehammer or a ram. Set. Once that's in there, he can begin prying. The next tool we're going to be talking about are the bolt cutters. The bolt cutters really only have two main components. You have your cutting blades, you have the handles that you power them with. When utilizing the bolt cutters, you want to make sure the cutting blades are as wide as you can get them. You want to bring them up to the chain or other small metal object that you're going to be cutting. You're going to try to insert that as far as you can into the cutting blades. And applying pressure, you're going to continue to force the handles together until they cut. Sometimes you'll come across objects that are too big to cut with just arm strength alone, so you can get creative on how you use your body to close the handles. You can either post it off of your chest and pull in, or off of your leg and push down. A big safety component to this is making sure that nothing else other than what you want cut is caught in the blades, and nothing is in between the handles, as it could get crushed when you bring it down. So that does it for describing some of these tools and their uses, as well as demonstrating how to do them. I want to thank Officer Rahman for helping me out. And next, I'm going to have you guys follow me back to good old 103, where we talk about some of the doors that you might commonly encounter on patrol and how to defeat them. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is the four most common types of doors you're going to encounter. Now, when we talk about types of doors, we're not talking about size, shape, or construction. We're talking about how they function. The four common types of doors are an inward opening hinge left, inward opening hinge right, then an outward opening hinge left, and an outward opening hinge right. This door right here is a prime example of an inward opening hinge right. That is because the hinges are on the right side of the door, and it opens in toward me. A door like this would be optimal to be used for, say, a Halligan to pry it towards you. Whereas a ram, you would be forcing everything against the way the door is supposed to actually function. Now, where this is a inward opening hinge right, the door on the other side of the briefing room there would be considered an inward opening hinge left. So the next two types of doors we're going to talk about are outward opening doors. This would be a good example of an outward opening hinge left because, again, the hinges are on the left and the door opens out and away from you. Tools such as the sledgehammer and the ram would be optimal to use against a door like this because as you hit them, the door's natural movement will allow it to go into the structure. Now, don't get confused that all doors that come toward you are inward and all doors that go away from you are outward. You need to be able to do what's called read the structure and know that if the door is coming outside, say a front entry door like a security screen door that usually open away from you, that is actually considered an outward door, where that front door where you open it into the house is an inward door. But you need to know what type of door you're going up against to be able to defeat it the best. So I know what you guys are thinking. Hey Scott, sometimes we have things like double doors here that we encounter over by the training room. Correct. That being said, doors like this can still be broken down into one of those four main types of doors. Usually on double doors like this, even the French doors in front homes, you will have what's called a strong or heavy side, where this one has the actual door handle or door latch right here. So this one would still be, in this case, an outward opening hinge right. And this right door is going to be the strong side. So you can use the basic techniques and tactics that you were taught in this class to still defeat doors like this. So, like most things in law enforcement, when not done safely and properly, breaching can be dangerous. So some of the safety considerations to think of when you are breaching is things such as making sure that the impact area when using tools like the sledgehammer and the ram are clear. You don't want to have your partner's hand in there and get that crushed. You also want to make sure that you have proper footing to avoid slips, twists, and injuries. After that, when practical, make sure you're trying to wear things like eye protection, gloves, and long sleeves to avoid other issues such as fragments coming off of the door or the target that you're trying to breach, like metal or wood splinters. You also need to be conscious of the orientation of your tool, so when I'm swinging things around like the Halligan, change it from the adze to the forks, I don't accidentally stab Officer Oman with the pit. With that, when I discard my tools and set them down when we're actually ready to go into the structure or whatever we are breaching, I want to make sure that I orientate that and set it down. That way people don't step on things like the adze or the pick and hurt themselves. These are just a few safety considerations to consider when breaching. So this concludes the video on manual breaching and some of the tools and tactics surrounding it. I appreciate everyone for watching. The next step in this is to go ahead and take that quiz on Power DMS and reach out to your training coordinators to schedule a practical hands-on test for it as well. Again, I appreciate everyone for watching. I'll see you out there on the range. Stay safe. Doors like this are good to be